In this video, I'm going to give you a sneak peek into my lesson called Journaling Guidelines. This is from my online course called Journaling for Beginners. And so if you're interested in learning some guidelines that you can use in your journaling practice, stay tuned. Welcome to lesson 4. This is the lesson on journaling guidelines. So in this lesson, I'm just going to cover some of the extras that I haven't talked about yet, some of the, just the things that are going to help you on your journaling journey. So the first guideline that I have for you is to try different types of journals. So as I went through in one of the previous lessons, there are many types of journals, many types of journaling, and I advise you to try different types of them because they will help you explore different parts of yourself. They all have different purposes, and so it's kind of a really good thing to do as many as you can. And that kind of goes with anything in life. If you're learning about a subject, it's really good to learn about the different ways that you can practice that subject. So journaling is no different. So I like to do, in one day, I like to do a couple different kinds, depending on how much time I have, but I usually do gratitude journaling, and that's a good one to do in the morning. And then I also do a brain dump, which is just, a freestyle type of journaling, and that's a good one for nighttime, right before bed. And then if you're trying to improve your life in any way, journaling for that purpose, such as manifestation journaling or any type of health journaling, those are all really good ones to start out with. So try to do a minimum of maybe 3 different kinds. I mean, I know there's way more than that, but if not all of them are going to be for everybody. So just kind of explore and experiment and see which ones work best for you. So the next guideline I have for you is what times of the day you should journal. So first thing in the morning and the last thing at night. These are the two things that you should do before bed and after you get up, because that is really when your mind is a little more calmer. It's when you are still sort of in the alpha state or the theta state of the mind where it's easier for words to come out. And so first thing in the morning when you wake up is a great time to journaling, especially gratitude journaling or automatic writing or brain dumping. And then last thing at night is a good time to do the freestyle or brain dumping or giving like a recap of your day, anything like that. Um, you can also do journaling in the middle of the day or any other time, really. Whatever time works for you. I just like to suggest first thing in the morning and last thing at night because these are times of the day when we're usually doing our morning routine and nighttime routines. And it's an easy thing to add to your routine. So it's something that you will easily be able to keep up with. That's the main point of this. Other than the fact that you're taking advantage of the state of mind and the brain states that you're in, you are also setting up a good habit. You are getting yourself into the rhythm and the momentum of doing it because once you do something every day, it becomes a habit. I think it takes like 3 or 4 weeks to establish a habit. So if you work on your journaling in the morning and at night, that's a much better chance of it sticking. So if you only have time in the middle of the day, and that might not always work so well because the middle of the day is when you're usually working, dealing with kids, dealing with taking care of life, and responsibilities. So that's why I suggest first thing in the morning and last thing at night if you can. So the next guideline is to minimize distractions. So we're going to make it a goal to journal, and the best way to do that is to minimize distractions. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do as far as minimizing distractions. One of them is to write it in your journal and make sure, or your planner, I should say, and set aside the time. This is probably going to be in the morning or at night if you're following the last guideline, but also if you need to do it in the daytime, set aside the time and make sure that it's a time when nobody is around because you need to be alone in order to do this. And quiet is good too. So if you're on your lunch break at work, and maybe there's only one place you can go to be alone, that's all that you can do. And if you're home and you can do this, another thing that you can do is to light a candle or burn some incense or use some essential oils, and those are things to help you focus. Pretty much anything that you can think of that's good for focusing is good for minimizing distractions. So those things will go a long way in helping you to journal correctly. So the next one is, don't worry about perfection. You are working on more of like a rough draft than a finished product, if you want to think of it that way. This is not something that has to be graded, and this is not something that anybody else is going to see. So don't worry about grammar mistakes. Don't even worry about if your sentences make sense. Sometimes you might just be able to write words and not even full sentences, and that is totally fine. So think of it as a rough draft more than a finished product. You don't need to capitalize anything, things like that. All right, so the next journal guideline is to keep your journals and reread your older ones. There's a very good reason for doing this, and this is what helps with memory. So if you keep your journals, you can go back and reread them, and that way you're kind of solidifying the memory. Whatever you're reading, you're reminding yourself of one, when it happened, and then two, of just the idea, the memory itself or your thoughts. So there's other reasons for this as well, and I guess I can go a little bit more into this. So if you keep your journals and reread the older ones, you are also kind of learning about yourself a little more. You're picking up on patterns, you're picking up on, just things that you might have learned since then. So let's say you go back and you reread a journal entry from a couple years ago, and the mindset that you were in at the time is a lot different than the mindset that you're in right now, which is what you want. You want to recognize growth, and that's another way that journaling is great for your health, for your mind, for your life in general. It's just a way to keep track of your growth. So be sure to keep all your old journals and reread older ones. And that might be a little bit hard for people that have physical journals because it can end up taking up a lot of space. This is one of the benefits of having a digital journal. Of course, the pro of having a digital journal is also that you could lose it. So it's a tough call there, whichever one works for you. And sometimes you might even want to do both. I actually do both in some way, shape, or form. I make sure that the things that I really want to remember, I've got written down as well as typed out in a Word document, or even just using the notepad feature on my computer. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And then kind of saving it in more than one place so that you can always go back and look. To get the rest of this lesson along with 4 other video lessons, you can enroll in my course, Journaling for Beginners, on Udemy. There are 5 video lessons including journaling benefits, types, methods, guidelines, and exercises, along with all of the printable worksheets that you see in this other picture. So click the link down in the description if you are interested in learning how to change your life with journaling. I look forward to having you on board and helping you along with your journaling journey.